brought to you by Channel NewsAsia, official golf venue, Longtan Golf Club, and supported by the following partners.
Anti-Chinese demonstrations have dominated Vietnam's headlines in recent times. But there's much more going on in this vibrant 90 million strong economy, with double-digit growth in exports and the broad economy picking up speed again. Asia's Business Insights in Ho Chi Minh City takes up the tricky question of whether the recent political unrest will put a cap on Vietnam's economic recovery.
Let me say it is an honor for Channel NewsAsia to host Business Insights in bustling Ho Chi Minh City. But let me first deal with the elephant in the room. My team was concerned when the recent spate of unrests against foreign businesses were first reported, especially last week when there were reports about demonstrations being organized here. So they wondered if we should postpone this and the golf networking session we had yesterday. Now, as a former journalist, my instincts are usually to dive straight into a situation and to go for it. We, the channel, are, after all, in the heart of reporting the news. What better chance would we have then to report whatever news is coming out of Vietnam firsthand, with the best producers and crew at our disposal? We could even make our CEO, Mr. Sean Xiao, a former journalist himself, do a live report from the streets of Ho Chi Minh City. Now, of course, as business owners, instead we have to be more sober. We have to weigh the risks, take care of our people, and assess the situation calmly. Now, as I understand it, many of the foreign businesses and businessmen here today just returned to Ho Chi Minh City this week. The situation has stabilized, and I'm sure our presence here with you gives added confidence to the situation in Vietnam. Hence, the show will and must go on. It is at times like these, and also with developments in neighboring Thailand, that all of us need accurate, unbiased reporting. What is authoritative? What is just conjecture? What are rumors? What are the facts? We want to be able to hear not only from the representatives of the government of the day, but also practicing professionals, businessmen and experts to make decisions for the long term, people like yourselves in the room today. This mirrors the story of how Channel NewsAsia was born 15 years ago. We wanted to give the world an accurate picture of what was going on post-1997. Some of you may be too young to remember those days. They were called then the Asian financial crisis. Reporting from the region, for the region, and the rest of the world was what we wanted to do. Hence, I'm happy to announce that Channel NewsAsia intends to open a bureau here in Vietnam this year. We want to be able to tell the story of Vietnam's growth and development and its challenges and its people from the ground. Some of you may ask, what took us so long? Van Sui Kui Tao Nan. I probably mangled that completely. It's supposed to mean it is the first step that counts.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I'm sure that many of our valued partners here will be interested to see how things go with our opening of our new bureau in Vietnam. Now I'd like to ask our guest of honor, the Deputy Minister for Planning and Investment, Mr. Dang Huy Dom, to come up on stage and say a few words. Deputy Minister, please.
In 2014 and the following years, we had set our priority as to stabilize macroeconomy, to curb inflation at the same time, to take advantage to help deal with difficulties in productions and businesses. Our target GDP is 5.8% for this year. Export value is to increase by 10%, and CPI rate of about 7%. We also focus on speeding up the reform on administrative procedures, preventing corruptions and wastes. with focus on 3 breakthroughs as follows. 1, to perfect the socialist-oriented market economy situation, to form a level playing field and administrative reform. 2, to develop the human resources, especially the high-quality labor. And 3, to build a comprehensive infrastructure system and a number of modern projects concentrating on large-scale urban infrastructure and transport systems. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the global status and the situation in Vietnam are supposed to face unpredictable and complicated challenges in 2014 and in the years to come. Positive changes in the domestic economy in the first quarter of 2014 is now challenged by the recent complications resulted from the happenings in the Eastern Sea. With the presence of all the guest speakers, economists, leaders from associations and from leading businesses in Vietnam, this forum is a precious opportunity for us to discuss and listen to all comments, current deep analysis, which might help the Vietnamese government to effectively accelerate the economy restructuring and support Vietnamese enterprises in ensuring sustainable growth.
What if you came face to face with the sins of your past? Would you choose to mend your ways? Would you choose redemption?
You mean a lot to me.
Or would you walk away from everything? From the highly rated telemovie comes the brand new drama series, Danny, debuts 9th June, Monday, 9:30 p.m. on Surya.
Come be part of the biggest Localicious on 5 roadshow, held at Shaw House, Urban Plaza, Saturday from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m. Get up close and personal with the cast of Mata Mata, The Noose, hosts of Our Makan Places, Lost and Found, Minute to Win It, We Are Singaporeans, the final one winner Farisha, finalists from 1 Minute of Fame, and special appearances by Cookie, Ollie and Friends. Plus, win shopping vouchers, movie tickets and other attractive prizes. For details, visit cinemasend.com/5.
And here we go!
In the next round of the Great Eastern Yo's S-League, it's a clash of the Titans as Geylang International takes on Tampines Rovers at the Jalan Besar Stadium live.
But it's not over yet. There's a ball to the far post.
Who will prevail in this epic showdown?
And he goes for the near post and he's chipped it in. It's a goal!
Geylang International versus Tampines Rovers. Tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. live on Octo.
Having spoken to my panelists before the start of this, they promised me that they, in addition to giving many good insights into redefining sustainable growth in Vietnam, that they would also be talking about miniskirts, and they will also be using dirty words like inflation and maybe even taxes. So, Vietnam's economy has been bouncing back, it seems. Exports are growing incredibly, in fact, faster than most of Vietnam's Southeast Asian neighbors. But will the anti-Chinese protests put a cap on all of that? So this is the first question for our panelists. Dr. Zhuang, you have been an advisor to the government. What do you think?
The problem is to control inflation and to the same time to keep interest rate low and exchange rate stable. And you have mentioned that export is growing, so that the foreign reserve of Vietnam is improving. And I really do hope the government will continue the policy of macroeconomic stabilization and to assist the business community, as our slogan today, redefining sustainable business development in Vietnam.
So, Johan, what do you think? Dr. Zweng, as you can see, like any good academic, has avoided my question.
I'm not worried about what's happening on the ground in the country. I'm more worried about what people from the outside think of what's going on the inside. And I was, over the last couple of days, I was overseas, and what I encountered was baffling. Because from the taxi driver to the maid, everyone thought Vietnam was in turmoil because of what appears on the media.
Yes, I think it was a very unfortunate event, the riots and the damages causing to the foreign investor. I was really very shocked on this event. But it is only isolated event. It isolated in mainly two provinces. All the business in Ho Chi Minh City is okay. The business in Mekong River Delta is also okay. And the businesses investing in North Vietnam, like Samsung and all other, are okay. And the Prime Minister has issued a directive committed to improve the business environment, to protect the foreign investor, and also committed to compensate the losers. So that's, I think, the emotional, maybe psychological impact of the riots will be mainly under control, and the social, economic stability in Vietnam will be demonstrated in the future.
The comments of Dr. Duan are accurate. As long as the macroeconomic situation continues to stabilise and to improve, that we'll see business confidence remaining strong in terms of Vietnam's location as an export manufacturing base, which is an incredibly powerful story and a multi-year, multi-decade story, and the domestic Vietnam story as well, the emerging middle class, all of these sorts of things that create business opportunities for both Vietnamese and foreign businesses.
Nicola, what do you think?
I've been in Vietnam for 10 years. I think a lot of us in the room have been investing in Vietnam for a long time. So we know what the country has to offer in terms of HR, employment. Definitely, companies that are in Vietnam will continue to invest because it has so much to offer.
So let's move on to private consumption. One of the things that we all agree on is that exports are doing extremely well, but private consumption is not very strong, and with a 90 million population base, it should be something that Vietnam should be able to draw on now. What can be done to boost private consumption?
Yes, the population in Vietnam is nowadays around 90 million, and 65% are in working age. They are earning money. So that young people try to buy. They change their mobile phone every 3 months. I want to be very frank. The growth rate of 5.4% is under the potential of the Vietnam's economy. Vietnam's economy and the people could grow even higher if there are improvement on credit, supplying.
I think the challenge, and Dr. Duan is touching on it, is that the demographic story, this idea that 65% of the people are in the workforce, and that you've got a lot of young people coming through, and we love to joke that everybody in Vietnam is 23, is a powerful one, but it can be misleading. On paper, 23-year-olds are perfect. They come out of study, they get jobs, they start families, they want to buy houses, they are great consumers. The challenge, of course, is that they need jobs, and they need jobs that pay good incomes. They need to be able to access credit from banks in order to buy those apartments that they so desire.
Mr. Kuhn, the Young Business People's Association, what do you see?
In my business, also in YBA, we met a lot of the foreign investors, and all of them want to come to Vietnam market. because they think that this is not enough with around 90 million people.
Can I jump in and be a little bit critical at this point? Because I totally support and agree with the development of the private sector. And I believe that the government has been doing all they can to start from equitizing the smaller state-owned companies, privatize them and allow for the private sector to develop. But the private sector is like a very flimsy sector in Vietnam. It doesn't have a lot of support for it to grow healthily. And it only takes a little bit of hiccup in the macro economy for it to be in trouble. A typical private sector company is probably much more heavily in debt than a typical FDI company would be.
The call of Dr. Duan for the emergence and the growth of the Vietnamese private sector is completely valid and important, but we have to understand exactly that, the fragility of many Vietnamese enterprises and the quality of those enterprises. And it's really a heavy onus on Vietnamese entrepreneurs to build companies that are able to compete on a global platform. And one of the rewards of global integration is increased trade and increased investment and increasing wealth and prosperity. We hope one of the prices of global integration is the demand for the local corporate sector to compete.
You are watching Channel NewsAsia. Understand Asia.
Project Superstar is back, regardless of your age, nationality or gender. And take part as an individual or even as an all-male or female group. Come to the MediaCorp reception on 7 June Saturday. Prepare a Mandarin song and bring along the following items. Remember to get permission if you're below 18. Log on to the following website for more details. Will you be the next superstar?
Me Club rewards you once again. Sarah Geronimo, the highly versatile pop princess, will be performing for the first time ever in Singapore. Be mesmerized by her stunning performance and get ready for a perfect evening with Sarah and her guests, Ronnie Liang and Princess Velasco. 10% savings for Me Club members only. Get your tickets today. Log on to meclub.com.sg for more details. Proudly supported by Me Club.
Look out for the fresh and vibrant Oli 96.8 FM. The Indian radio station gets a brand new makeover with streamlined programming that will be revamped for a more entertaining and engaging experience. Join us to celebrate the unveiling of the brand new Oli 96.8 FM logo on the 7th of June at Bukit Panjang Plaza. It's going to be an exciting song and dance extravaganza. Be part of the excitement and evolution of Oli 96.8 FM.
We are taking questions from the floor, and you may direct your questions at any of the panelists. So please feel free to ask them questions and perhaps having a differing opinion from them.
Thank you very much for organizing this event. Without all of you, I think none of us can be here. My question is, moving forward, if the two countries' bilateral trade will be affected, if this is continuous to have the tension, because we know that Vietnam is a country depending a lot of import of materials, and a lot of all these raw materials are coming from China. And if the bilateral situation, the relationship is not improved, how is this going to affect the economy of Vietnam, particularly in industrial area and construction area?
Vietnam definitely want to avoid any war, economic war, trade war, or even war with weaponry. But it doesn't depend only from Vietnam. It depends also very much from China. But I really do hope that China is also not interested to start a war with Vietnam. And if you ask how the impact of any confrontation to Vietnam's economy, I think the impact will be severe in a limited time, but for longer time, for longer perspective, the Vietnamese economy will diversify.
I think it's important that it's more than just a matter of raw material sourcing, of course. You've got extensive involvement in infrastructure in the construction sector. And if you consider the Taiwanese industrial investments into Vietnam, you have very key and very important manufacturers in the supply chain for all sorts of products here. So the quick restoration of confidence in Vietnam is really important. And whether in the long run that means diversification, as Dr. Duan is saying, of supply chains or of investors, the encouragement of investors from Korea, Japan, from Europe, the United States, all of these things will likely rebalance themselves.
One of the things that affect the economy is sentiment, whether it be investment sentiment, consumer sentiment, stock market, and so the common word there is sentiment. And I think one of the things that Vietnam needs is some good news. And so where do you think, so anyone from the panel could answer this, where do you think that good news should come from? The media, the government, business?
I think the ball is on the side of the Vietnamese government. The Vietnamese government must implement efficiently reform, must reduce red tape, and the Vietnamese government now try to amend the enterprise law and try to improve definitely the business environment for the foreign direct invested community and for the local private domestic company, and also to be well prepared to implement the free trade agreement with the EU and the TPP.
I think we do spend too much time looking at negative influences and some of the complaints and issues that people have. The corporate sector, whether it's the domestic corporate sector or the foreign invested sector, has a big role to play in telling the Vietnam story. The manufacturing story is immensely powerful. The infrastructure story is powerful. You know, to tell the story of the Nghi Son refinery under construction in the centre of the country that's coming together now. You know, there are some great projects and great success stories out there. We tend to focus on the bad stories.
Well, a lot has been spoken about various aspects of business growth. From where I come from, the government of Malaysia has put a lot of great emphasis on science, technology, innovation, which will spur a lot of opportunities for local people, doesn't matter where the economy is from, to be more enterprising. So, and at the same time, it also creates fresh opportunities in various existing industries in a particular country. So my question throwing to the panel is there any such initiative or top-down approach in Vietnam to allow that to happen, which will also bring up the income level of the workforce and at the same time create new business opportunities, new job opportunities in the country? So that would be it. Thank you.
I'm going to be critical again. I think I work for the private sector, and despite the fact that I believe that the way to go for Vietnam is to continue bringing in FDI, I do agree wholeheartedly with Dr. Duan that the government has not done a lot to incentivize the private sector. I think we're talking about sustainability in Vietnam. We have to talk about the resources that go into the economy here, and the resources that go into the economy here are capital, human capital, well, financial capital and human capital. In my personal belief, I think it has to be stronger from top down, from the government, to incentivize the private sector to invest further and to make it much more available for them to obtain the resources, the financial resources as well as the human resources.
Dr. Nguyen, I promised you the last word.
No, thank you very much. I think the Vietnamese government has tried to negotiate a free trade agreement, but the main problem is to implement it in Vietnam. not only to open export market, but also very much to improve the business environment here. And I agree with Johan that the credit, the capital, must be channeled into the private sector and not to the real estate bubble and not to the SOE, because SOE are so inefficient. And if the government could do it, I think Vietnam could regain the sustainable high growth and exploit fully its potential for growth. The problem is now this capacity building.
Yes.
It's more technology, more modern corporate governance, and it will be a new opportunity for the domestic private company in Vietnam as well to improve and to restructuring itself to meet with the new opportunities of integration of TPP and free trade agreement Vietnam-EU.
On that splendid summary, I cannot attempt to rival that. I would say thank you very much to the panelists for being so lively and so engaged in this discussion at this rather interesting, some might call fraught time, but definitely lots of opportunities as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This program was brought to you by Channel NewsAsia, official golf venue, Long Tan Golf Club, and supported by the following partners.